We're going to talk about leaders. So those are these items that are over to the right and laid out in a simple line. They're aligned, so if you can see my crosshairs right there, they're kind of aligned, and that's a nice neat way to identify different objects that are within the drawing. And they can also be used for referring to notes or details or things like that. In this situation, we're just putting some basic notes on here to keep the drawing simple for your first drawing. Again, under annotation, you can go to the multi-leader style. So we've already set a text style, a dimension style, and now we're moving to the multi-leader style. And I have one set up here. You should have a default of standard, and our default would look something like this with the default text style and just a basic line and arrow. What I've done is created a different type of that's a little bit softer, so you can see that on the screen. So I'm using a spline with a couple of arcs in it, and that just gently draws out the text over to the side. In my experience and the way that I see this, the lines are a little bit softer, so you can differentiate them from the dimension lines when both are shown within a drawing. These are actually also particularly good for conceptual drawings where you want to have a little bit of a softer approach rather than the hard lines used within a construction document. So there we go. You would set current, again, would be if you have a selection of different items here and you want to choose which multi-leader style you're going to be using within the drawing. New is going to create a new dimension style, and let's just click on that. So it's creating a copy of the dimension style that is highlighted, and you want to give that a new name. So that would just be backspace and type in a new name. You would start with an existing multi-leader style, and in our case we're using annotative style, which will automatically set the scale of the dimensions for us. To modify an existing style, this is where I will show you the different options for you. So I've set up our general leader format to have a spline. If it were to be straight, your lines would be at right angles or polar angles. So spline gives us a little bit of an arc. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to see in the preview. Again, like we talked about, we want to keep our color by layer or by block. So that will keep the dimension style based on the layer rather than on it having its own independent properties from the layer that you're using. Line type, we're sticking by layer, and our line weight, again, by our layer. You have a large selection of different types of point symbols that you can use on the end. We will be using closed fills in our exercises. And again, like I spoke about in the past exercise, keeping everything at 1/8 of an inch just for default value is helpful in this situation. Again, moving on to the structure, this allows you to have multiple points within your leader style. So that would be click on the placement of the arrow and then click on where you would like your text to be. You know, if you want it to have a lot of curves to it, you could have multiple leader points. Again, our annotative scale, if we wanted to be 1/8 of an inch equals 1 foot scale within the drawing, we would set the number to specify scale to be 96. Again, if it were to be a quarter scale, this number would be 48. So we're multiplying the 8 of the 1/8 of an inch times 12, and that gives us the inches that we need our item to be scaled up to. So that's going to multiply our numbers in our liter format, and in our text information, our 1/8 of an inch will be multiplied by 12, be multiplied by 96, and that will give us the size of the height of the text on the screen. Again, just by clicking annotated, that's going to go ahead and do all of that for us. Content, this is your text style that you'll be using. So you can choose the style that you'd like to use. So in this situation, we're going to use the text style that is related to the drawing, the new information on the drawing, and so that will be the style OH200 and we're using that within the dimensions and to call out landscape information. The second one we're using as layout information and existing information on the drawing. So you have a little bit of a differentiation there to also make the contractor aware of what's already on the drawing versus what we are adding to the drawing. Our text height we're keeping at 1/8 of an inch, again by block or by layer. Keep these by layer. Our leader is going to be horizontal. We can choose to have it as vertical attachment. This is really just our most simple and attractive way of keeping our text in place. Let's just leave that at the default. 1/8 of an inch is good. And once these items are set, much less than in the dimensioning style, hit OK. The one that you are just, the multi-leader style that you're most recently working with will be your current style, but you can always double check and set that as current and hit close. Oh my goodness, looks like I changed something. So let's go back into that. So that automatically updated the size of my text. Did not really want to do that, so let's go back in by hitting enter. We'll repeat the command that you just did, and let's see what I modified. Our text height, again, like I said, I usually keep those at 1/8 of an inch. I changed it to 1/4 of an inch, so change that back to 1/8 of an inch, hit OK. Hit close, and they will automatically update. So that's kind of a nice example of automatic updating. I'm going to go ahead and place some in this video. So let's say we wanted to place some additional multi-leaders on this line. Just go ahead and click leader. Select one location by clicking with your mouse and a second location by clicking with your mouse again, and type in some text you'd like to use. So we will say that this is again our flowering, all caps lock for construction documents and most documentation that we're using, flowering ground cover. And we have our text editor information, so you could have a lot of fun, change this text up a great deal, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit close, and then click multi-leader again and align those points. So what we have right here, deciduous shrub, and hit close text editor. So you'll see that this is a conflict of information, so you can either choose to move one or the other information so your lines aren't intersecting. And that is placing your multi-leader style. So I'm going to erase those, and that is the information that you need for this exercise.